Hey everybody, happy Thursday. Andy helping you build a career you love on every day of the year. But Thursdays, you know I bring a little extra. I'm feeling fun and fast today. Get in the chat. If you're here with me live, say hi. Let me know who you are. Let me know what you do. Let me know what you need. Put some question marks in front of your questions. I always like to know where you're from too. And if you're in one of those far, far lands away from me, tell me what time it is. I always get a kick out of my Australian friends because they're like 15 hours ahead and some of them are up in the middle of the night. I just love it. Oh man, great to see all of you here. Hey Mom, how you doing? Great to see you. Looking forward to dinner on Saturday. Got a little surprise for you. Okay, John Reeves, let's get into this. Good morning. Am looking for work in the right places? Question mark. I'm on Indeed and ZipRecruiter. I probably applied to 25 positions for one interview. Been looking for 3 months, never a second interview. I've also submitted resume to all local recruiters. They've never submitted me to an interview. Okay, so let's pop this one up here. John, great to have this question. It is a common issue. It's a great opener. Thanks for kicking us off today. All right, so I am a big proponent of avoiding Indeed, ZipRecruiter, Hot Jobs, Career Builder, corporate career portals, anything that requires you to use your fingertips to put your resume and a cover letter into a system. So I'm going to lump all of the corporate career portals, applicant tracking systems, so the ATS, if you've heard that. But basically, corporations use these systems. They're stuffed and overloaded with resumes. They have screening keywords that basically look for whether you match or not. Your resume is likely getting lost in these things. And when you start to get into what I call the aggregators, like Indeed or a ZipRecruiter that takes many job postings from different corporations who basically pay them to post their openings, it's just as bad. So you just statistically, you have maybe a 3% chance of being seen if you put your resume into one of those systems. And the higher up you go, meaning the higher your level, the less likely you are just to be seen. Okay, so that's 3 in 100, 2, 3, 4 in 100, give or take. It's probably less than 1% if you're a managerial or a senior resource or executive resource. I would completely avoid the systems. I appreciate that employers say they want you to submit your resume through their system, but that's job applying. That's actually not job searching to me. So you asked about, are you in the right places? Now, I don't know what you do. I don't know how old you are. I don't know how much you earn, and all of those factors actually do matter as far as whether you should be spending any time at all putting your resume into those systems. But what I would much rather you do is that you target individuals, whether that be a boss. I'm a huge fan of boss hunting. If you're not sure what that is, check the channel and just type boss hunting. And you will see that my favorite way to get a job is to target the individuals or management team or whoever it is that could ultimately give you the job. Those are the people that are going to be most open to looking at your resume and considering you. So that's my favorite way to go. Don't worry that you feel like you're breaking the rules. There are no rules when it comes to job searching, just in case. Let's get that set straight right away. And you're going to have a much greater likelihood if you do that. If you go to an HR person or a recruiter, that's the next best thing. However, that's not as good as going to a boss. And the primary reason that's not as good as going to a boss is, number one, the boss is likely in more pain. Number two, if the boss that you target doesn't necessarily have a publicized opening, they might be willing to augment the headcount. on their team. They might be willing to trade somebody off their team if they like you better, right? Now, if you go to an HR person or a recruiter and they're not working a requisition from that particular hiring official, they're going to say, hey, John, this is great, but we don't have any openings. Now, some recruiters might look at your background and depending on how savvy they are and the relationship they have with the hiring official and the direction the hiring official's given them, like, hey, if anybody comes in through the career portal or through your network or whatever, I always want to see them. Whatever the case may be, you don't know that. So I would go with the statistics. I would target the bosses. The next best thing is targeting individuals like the HR people and the recruiters. Just know that you've probably got a tick mark or two less of a chance because they're going to focus on their highest priority needs, right? The boss, as the boss of the accounting team, of the project management team, of the sales team, my priority is my team. The recruiter might be recruiting for several teams. And if I don't have an open rec on that recruiter's desk, they're likely to just kick you to the side. So are you looking in the right place? You are looking in the place that you would think you would need to be looking. I'm telling you that statistically those are very difficult places. And then let's add in the fact that we're still in this global crisis. So there's still a lot of people out of work. There's always people changing jobs no matter what the market looks like, but now it's a bit worse. So those are my thoughts on that. I would not be going and submitting my resume to local recruiters and when you say local recruiters, I'm assuming that you meant third-party recruiters. And if you meant corporate recruiters, either which way, but if you meant executive recruiters or third-party search firms, that is definitely not a way to go. And if you want more on that, just check my channel for how to work with. You can check my channel for how to work with corporate recruiters. You can check my channel for how to work with executive recruiters. I have lengthy videos on both of those as well. So I would try to get out of the systems and get into the boss hunting. And the last thing I want to say about the boss hunting is even if somebody is not hiring, a lot of times you will get a response from that person and at least you can network and continue on. And serendipity can happen to you if you're exchanging with a human. It's not going to happen if you're popping your resume into a system. All right, John, hope that helps. Great one to kick us off. M. Wilson, I believe I know who that is. And I believe you are my boot camper. And I hope you're well. I received a rejection email 2 weeks ago for a job. I responded with how to get the job after being rejected. Gold standard reply. Thanks. I appreciate that. They posted it again. How do I word a referral for a person I know who might be a fit they are looking for? So first off, you're like the nicest person on earth, and I would expect nothing less from you. So if it's me, I would go back to the recruiter. This is a two-pronged message or to the hiring official and the recruiter. So for everybody, let's benchmark the group here. If you do not know what Maya's talking about, I have a video out there on how to get the job after being rejected. It is good to use. Actually, it's sensational to use if you've endured a recruiting process with them and did not get the job. It is not to be used if you submitted your resume and nobody replied. It is not to be used if you put your resume into the applicant trashing system and you got a bong letter. It's if you've actually engaged with them, which she did. So now what happens is she didn't get the job, but she knows it's still open, so they must have given her some kind of feedback that maybe she wasn't the right fit. So in this case, what I would do is if you sent it to the recruiter and the hiring official, which is like the gold standard of the gold standard, I would go back to both of them. If it was one or the other, that's fine. If it's both, that's fine. You send them a message and you say, hey, and here again, I don't know if they responded to your rejection letter. If they responded to the rejection letter, I would reply to that one. If they didn't respond to the rejection letter, I would forward my rejection letter and say, hey, I just wanted to check in again. I really appreciate the time we spent. I really enjoyed everybody at the company. I respect your decision. I noticed the position was open or reposted again, and I wanted to know if you were interested in speaking with my friend, my colleague, my brother, whoever it is, and I would attach that resume. Now, I would do that. I would be so bold as to send it all in if you ended on a great note, meaning we loved you. It was just, you just didn't have enough of this, or something like that, where you established where you have credibility with them. It's like, man, we really wanted to hire you. You just weren't quite there yet. If you know they absolutely loved you, you just fell short a little bit, I would go and I would send it. I would send the person's resume. If you're not sure how they feel, then what I would say is, I have a friend and I would be happy to make the introduction. Would you be interested? And see how they react. I'll let you choose depending on how the process went. And I want to cap this off with, because this is an outstanding question. And every time I get a question, whether it's like the one that Maya's asking me, or if it's any of the others that you ask me in relation to contacting someone, making a referral for someone, everything depends on the strength of your relationship, the language you use, the level you go to, how specific or not specific you are, how much you say, how much you don't say. Always has to do with the strength of the relationship. So, number one, I want you to know that, so as you go out into the world, you can figure how well is the relationship strong. Should that person have gotten back to me by now? Some people, I won't let them go a whole day without getting back to me. Some people, I'll let them go a month, right, kind of thing. But also, I know you only have a couple hundred characters, but when you're asking me a question, if there's an interaction element to what you want to know, let me know. Andy, my brother, it's my sister, it's my best friend, it's a guy I worked with 10 years ago and haven't spoken to. That matters, because my guidance to you is going to be highly dependent on that. All right, so that's great, Maya. Go get them. Laura Cobb, number 7 lifer, you are. Actually, maybe a little announcement here, because Laura Cobb is a lifetime leader. And if you don't know what a lifetime leader is, that's somebody who's in my leadership coaching program, where I meet with them about every 4 weeks. Every month we meet. I give them my best strategies, tools, tactics on developing their career and living a fulfilled life. And Laura Cobb is a lifetime member. Basically, she made one enrollment fee for forever, never has to pay again. Otherwise, you could pay by the month or the year. But the thing I want to mention is, on Monday, I've just spent all of March, every Monday in March, building a productivity training program as a bonus for people in my leadership coaching program. And you've been getting emails from me, hopefully you've been opening them, that the 5th and final teaching session is Monday. It's not the final session. We're then going in. There's been 4 we've already done. We've got a 5th one on Monday, where I'm talking about increasing your personal energy. And then we're going into 2 weeks of homework, and we're reconvening on April 9th to do case studies for the people in the group. Now, if you are... There's 3 ways to get in that. You can be a member of my leadership coaching program, in which case you get the productivity training for free. You can buy the productivity training for $297. Or you can be in my Job Search Bootcamp, which is my job searching program. And those people are special invited guests, and they can come as well. And to not thoroughly confuse you, we had a special on the bootcamp last week, and it's now over and isn't going to be on special for a long while. But if you are interested in getting in the Job Search Bootcamp, Kara reminded me that I should tell you that you should send her an email at support@milewalk.com and ask her for $100 off, because she controls the purse strings. And she would be happy to give that to you if you want. We had a great session last Friday with the boot campers. So I know that was kind of a mouthful there, but Laura, thanks for giving me the cue for that. Doug Milligan is a boot camper. How are you doing? Quabena? Andy, what would be your best advice for getting rid of nerves at an interview? Okay. So I get rid of nerves a couple different ways. So number one, your whole mindset about the interaction. Let's go really extreme. Let's go really extreme here. Have you ever choked? Quabena, not necessarily you, just anybody. You ever choke, right? You miss the putt. you tripped before you hit the finish line, whatever it might be. You just laid a total egg. Usually when you choke and you get nervous, what you're doing at that moment is you're thinking about something other than what you're doing. Okay, so the golfer that's got the final putt, metaphorically, to win the tournament is thinking about what it's going to be like to be hoisting the trophy and not thinking about making the putt. Okay, we think the world is bigger than we are, or we start to imagine something else, or we're thinking about something else, or we're distracted. That makes us choke. When we're nervous, it's the same thing. We're thinking about, what happens if I don't perform well? What happens if I don't look smart? What happens if they don't love me? Okay, you are going into a future and you are paying a debt that you do not have to pay at this moment. Okay, if you are concentrated on what it is you're doing and just enjoying the moment, literally you have nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose. You don't have the job yet, right? So you can't lose something that you technically don't have. So what I do is I think about anything that I'm about to do. I, number one, am completely focused on what it is that I'm doing. I'm not worried about fumbling up my answer. I'm just having a conversation with you, right? It's you and me and all the other people, but I'm not worried about them right now. I'm just worried about you, Kwabena, right? So I'm thinking about you. I'm focused on the moment. The other thing is I know, let's say I got to go give a speech. There's all those people. There's all these people here on the show. I'm not worried about how many people are listening to me. I'm focused on you. I'm focused on serving. When you go in a job interview, you're actually serving them, right? You are presenting yourself as an opportunity to go there and help them. Okay, I think about that. And then the other thing is, I'm damn ready all the time. Okay, now I don't know what questions you're going to ask me, but I know my stuff, right? Kind of thing. If you're going into a job interview, you know your stuff. You do. You know your stuff. You know what you've done. I've given you instruction on how to package it. I've even shot a video for you on how to build your confidence in a job interview. Maybe Stacy can drop that in the chat. I would highly recommend watching that. And then the other thing is I would prepare for the most common job interview questions. That book right there, that interview intervention book, I always muck this up because that interview intervention book right there that's sitting right in front of my watchful eye that blesses me every minute, every day, I ship that to you anywhere in the world for a couple of bucks. You get the ebook right away. I would grab that thing if you don't have it, and I would look through that. So when you think about focusing, you think about serving, you think about, I know my stuff, you make sure you do your homework. That calms my nerves down. So those are the things. Now, I could go all into how to focus better and all that stuff. That's in my leadership program, by the way. But I hope that helps. That is a damn fine question. It really is. And I know Stacy's going to be happy because I know we have a number of variations of this question, but the nerves part is really, really key here. I know a lot of people get nervous, and that's my 3 or 4 part recipe for never being nervous in a job interview. Okay, I hope that helps. That's a great one. Gary Hoover, hey to you from Redline, PA. David Mulhall, another boot camper. I love this. Great opportunity with a major tech company. Presentation interview with a panel next week. Closing with a recap, but missing a punch. Any suggestions? David, I would love to tell you, but I am not sure what closing with a recap, but missing a punch is. If you are... I can't remember if you are in my leadership program. If I know you're in the boot camp, I do have an entire session on giving a persuasive speech in the leadership program. If you have access to that, it's called The Art of Persuasion in the program. If you don't have access to that, I have a video on YouTube about how to give a presentation in a job interview. If you give the presentation the way I've outlined in those videos, you'll be fine. I wish you a lot of luck. I would not be nervous. I wouldn't. If you're to the stage where you're given a panel interview and you're getting a panel interview and you're giving them a presentation, you got this. You got this. I wouldn't be worried about it. Jeff, how are you, my boot camper? I have a lead on a position. They require submission via ATS. It requires a desired salary. How do I know which to choose? Or should I keep trying to find the manager's contact info? Great question. Okay, so you got a couple things going on here. I love this question. Number one, no matter what, now it says, I have a lead on a position, they require submission via ATS. What I don't know is why they require a submission via ATS. All companies require a submission via ATS because, at least in the US where you are, there's legalities where they have to retain that information if they were ever to be audited. So if you came to me and I said, Jeff, this is great, but you got to put your resume in the applicant tracking system, or you went to Kara, or you went to the recruiter for Milewalk, or whoever that was, right? I would say, okay, that's fine. I will put it in the applicant tracking system, but I would still be targeting them as if I didn't. But if they say you need to put it in, say I did, I wanted to follow up. Okay, so number one, just because the company says you need to put it in the applicant tracking system, I would totally ignore that. I know you guys might think I'm crazy, but I'm telling you, any company that if you are right for the job and you got the goods and you send this to me and somewhere at my company, somebody who manages the website and somebody who's in HR stamps on the website, you need to submit your resume, I would laugh at that. I would take your resume, I would walk it down to them and I would say, you need to go call this guy and his name is Jeff and go interview him and then send him to me, kind of thing, okay? Believe me. And if they didn't, if somebody, you sent that to me and I said to you, Jeff, you know, you're not following the rules. It says on my website that you need to submit it via ATS. I would laugh and I would email them back and I would say, you obviously aren't the right company for me. Okay, think about that. All right, now let's just say, sake of argument, you got to fill this in. Okay, so you found me. I said, hey, this is great, but fill it in. You go and you fill it in, you get to the desired salary, it's a required field, and let's say it's the worst kind, meaning you can't just put open or negotiable or leave it empty. It's a required field and it's a drop down that says 50,000 to 54,999, 55,000 to 55,999, and so on. Just pick something near what you're currently earning. That's all. Don't even worry about it. And just to boot, I'm going to tell you about Rohan. He's my adopted son now, technically. He lives in Canada. He was interviewing with a startup in San Francisco in the US. He and I had he's in my leadership program actually, and we had a coaching session, and he said, he walked me through his history. He said, I went in and I actually found somebody, then I applied. They asked me for my salary on the applicant tracking system. I put in $120,000 to $129,999. Then I had a screening call with the hiring official. The hiring official said to me, what's your desired salary? He said, I'm open. He gave me, you know, my coach Andy said I should talk in circles and not really tell you anything. So he said that. So then she said, well, listen, if it's above 125,000, we can end this call right now. He says, no, I'm well happy to talk and we'll figure that out at the end. She said, okay, zip, fast forward to the end. Out the door, 170,000 base, 15,000 options, a whole unlimited vacation, you name it, the thing looks amazing. What happened to 125,000? Right? Kind of thing. Her opening offer to him was 150. Okay, so this is why all this stuff is nonsense. Now, yes, there are companies that are out there that will squeeze a quarter till the eagle screams, but I wouldn't be worried about that because you don't know any of that right now, okay? All right, and you'll be able to tell if they squeeze a quarter till the eagle screams, but you won't know that until the end. You won't know it up front, no matter what they said. She told him if it's higher than 125, we can stop now. And I told him, no. And he says, art of the possible, you keep going. And he did. And now he runs the IT department there. So, okay, I hope that helps. That's a great one, Jeff. Hey, Lynn, how are you? You're a lifetime leader, my dear. Come on. Got to get the lifer tag in there. Jen, hey, Andy, what are your thoughts on working at the same place as your spouse? Oh, my goodness. I love this. Full-time or just contract, spouses in upper management. Oh, man. I don't know if I've ever gotten this one. See what you did to me? All right. So I I don't, not to be funny here, but like my wife, I could walk around all day with my wife. I could go everywhere with my wife. She could sit right here all day if she wanted to, and it wouldn't bother me. It really wouldn't. I love her, and I love her, and I could be with her all the time. I could. Not everybody's like that. Some people, no, you go there, I go here, we come back together at the end of the day, we have dinner, and then the relationship works. So, number one, the answer to this question has a lot to do with how do you feel about, your spouse? Can you work with your spouse? The other question is, are you even in the same department as your spouse? Would your spouse have any influence over your compensation? Now you're getting into sticky issues, which may or may, I know you said he's in upper management, but he could be in upper management in that division. He could be in upper management who actually runs the company, and he can completely control your performance reviews and all that good stuff. So all of that stuff factors in. So how do I feel about it? It does not bother me in the least if, Kara's husband Todd wants to work with us. That's great. That wouldn't bother me. I would say to them, you two better play nice. So I love this question, but it's such an it depends answer that, if you feel like, you want to commute together, or maybe you're in different rooms and, you're Zooming in different places, that all matters. But then what's the other thing you got to consider? How it looks to the other employees. So will you be, kind of shunned because of this? So Jen, I don't know that I even actually gave you an answer other than my answer would be, these are the things I would consider: the relationship, the influence the spouse has, yours or his over, or hers or your partner's or whoever's over your performance, your compensation, your title, where you are in the company, your responsibilities and all that good stuff. How is, where's that influence? The other thing is, how will people feel about that as well? It's a great, great question. I think I talked in circles there, but those really are my thoughts. I personally have no problem with it. I really don't. So I hope that helps. Kara is telling me, next question, Grace under pressure, where I see, what can I say hi to my John Bailey? John, how are you, buddy? Paridi, how are you? From Charlotte. And then there's Kara. And Dana, how are you doing? You're on the bike. So do you see this? Thanks for all that you do. You're welcome. And Andy, you know where I am. LOL. She's on the bike. What I tell you guys, whoever has the most inside jokes wins life. It's true. It's true. Dana, I hope you are sweating up buckets, baby. All right, let's see. Baby girl, how do? Kurt, my boot camper, Jim, John. John is here. John, I hope I got that for you. Grace under pressure. Hey, Andy, what are your views on the interview assignment that's more like unpaid consultancy work than a brief assessment? Okay. This is what I think. And I'm going to try to give you a couple variations here because this is really good. Okay, folks, and Grace, I wish I knew... I wish I knew which Grace you were. I wish I knew specifically what your job function was and how high a level you were in the organization and what you're interviewing for. So here's how I view assignments. Now, number one, I have no problem with organizations that want to give you a little homework assignment. Why would that not bother me? So for those of you that follow me a lot, what do I always say? I always want you to take all those behavioral interviewing questions, the questions about your pasts, the tell me about your stuffs, the walk me through your resumes and all that stuff, and I want you to move it into their future, right? And how would we handle that in your environment? Do you have a case where I could address that and so forth? If you don't know what I'm talking about, I have a video out there on the number one interview tip that'll get you hired. And I talk about this because when you get into the future, it gives the interviewer a much easier way to see how you would actually operate in their environment. If you don't do that, they have to interpolate that. and usually they don't interpolate correctly. Most interviewers think their environment is the more difficult environment to operate in. They just do. So they say, well, you did okay over there, and that was a fine answer, but I'm really not sure that you could do it here. So moving in the future helps them see that more clearly. A case study or an assignment is even better because now you actually have a chance to think it through. You can show your work. You can walk them through how you would do what you would do. Now you're, okay, so I love it. Now you're getting into, okay, well, this is going to take me a long time. Then it's a question of, do you want the job bad enough? Do you have the time? Can you make the time? Right? So that's up to you. So you could decide if you want to do that. Then the question becomes, okay, well, what if they take my work and they go off and they implement it? To that, I would say, I'm going to use myself as an analogy. You know all this stuff that we do every week? You know all those videos I put out for you? You know those training programs and everything? Do you have any idea how easy it is for anybody who's a career coach to just go grab it? That's right. And I don't worry about any of that stuff. And why don't I worry about any of that stuff? Because they don't see the invisible work that goes in it. They don't know exactly why I do things the way I do, or what I tell you the way I tell you, or all the history I'm drawing on that makes the masterpiece a masterpiece. It's all the invisible work, and it's me driving it, okay? So if I handed a strategy of how to be a career coach to somebody else, I would not be worried in the least that they would benefit from that, other than they would have an outline of what they would do. And what's going to ultimately happen for them is they're going to make all the mistakes that I made probably 10 times over, and they're not going to know how to recover from all of these things. Right. So if you go put something together for them that is an assignment that is a part of an interviewing process, I wouldn't be worried in the least. If it's, hey, we want you to actually do work for us, like stuff that is immediately usable before you ever get hired, then I would start questioning that. Okay, so it's different to say, well, hey, Grace, how would you run your first 90 days on the job to build that unit? That's an assignment, right? What would that plan look like? Hey, can you put a presentation together of how you would grow the marketing team? Hey, could you put a presentation together to tell us how you would recruit all these players? How would you, all that stuff to me is okay. So not knowing exactly what this is like, if it truly is like work that they're going to benefit from, like it's truly free work, that's pretty damn rare. And I will tell you this, I, as a recruiter, okay, now we've placed 600 and some odd people in my lifetime. The number of people that interviewed for us, right, many, many more, and the number of people we interviewed, and the number of people that we submitted to our clients that had assignments and all that good stuff. I have never, not one time, zero, ever seen a company give an assignment that they could actually take and use effectively if that person was not hired. Okay, so I would not be too concerned. You're probably making a bigger deal out of it than it is. Those are my thoughts on that. Is a phenomenal question. It really, really is. This is one we definitely want to cut up and circulate, because this is a great question. Grace, I wish you a lot of luck. I would not be worried. And so my final word to you is, if you really want this job and you love the company, I would do the assignment and I wouldn't bat an eye, and I'd throw my heart and soul into it. I'd give them everything I got, and out it goes. That's how I feel. I really, and you know this, not to get too philosophical. I mean, whatever you focus your energy on grows. If you're going to be worried that they're going to use it, you're going to half-ass it, and it's not going to be effective, and you're not going to get the job. If you feel like, no, I'm going to show them what a badass I am, and this is what you got to look forward to, you're going to get hired. All right, I hope that helps. That's a great question. Dang, that's good. Kara, I'm not sure if I got all that in time, but let's move on. Yvonne, how are you, my dear, from the left coast, my boot camper? And John, great to see you. Bob, my leader and my boot camper, great to have you in the programs, buddy. And Tom Phillips, look at all my boot campers right there. Hi, Stacy and Jody and Lisa, all my boot campers. I love this. And Paul Barnes, how are you doing? Bet you're happy they signed Aaron Jones. Flying Uber Tuber. Bill Florence. Mike LaCivita, Dad, great to see you. Looking forward to having you over on Saturday. Karen Board. Jeff. Deb. Getting my first COVID vaccine? Awesome. My wife is all vaccinated. My parents are vaccinated. My in-laws are vaccinated. Andy's not vaccinated because Andy lives in a criminal state. And they don't let us get the shot yet. Let's see. Sherry. Let's get my boot camper up here. All right, good morning. Hey, had an interview yesterday. Was told the position I applied for has a fixed salary. Still okay to negotiate if I get an offer? Yes, final answer. I'm not just going to give you a yes or no because you're in my boot camp and I want to help you. And everybody needs to realize this. Let me tell you what fixed means, okay? And let's talk about it in a broader context than what Sherry is mentioning. They're saying the salary's fixed. It's $20 an hour, it's $40,000 a year, or whatever. Okay. In their mind, most companies, not all, yes, there are some, right, that are out there where it genuinely is fixed, but most of them. What's actually fixed is, I want you to step back for a second, and let's all play hiring official for a second. When I'm a hiring official, and I'm building out a team, and I have a job that is a repeatable job, like I just keep hiring one salesperson after another, or I hire somebody for a new position that I've never hired for before, I want to add this to my team, and I want somebody to take on a new role. Goes through my head this is what happens. I need them to do this. What kind of person would do this? All right, what kind of person, what skills would they have? How senior would they be? Where might they come from? What pedigree, right? And then what happens? Boop, out pops a job description. So what did I do? I have an idea in my mind of what I'm looking for and what that person looks like based on the problem I'm trying to solve. Now, which of these two things is variable? Not my problems, right? My problems are fixed. I need somebody to go and sell this product. I need somebody to go and scope that out. I need somebody to go and run that program. I need somebody to go and lead the customer service team. That's my problem, right? It's a good problem, but it's a problem. That's fixed. What isn't fixed? Who can do that job? So what happens is, if you are open-minded enough and you go in with this mindset, is you go in to talk to the employer. I say, Sherry comes to me, I say, Sherry, I pay $70,000 for all my salespeople. That's fixed, right? Because that's what I've been used to, or that's what I think it's worth, or whatever. But then you show me why you're worth 100. Right? So what you're doing is you're recalibrating my interpretation of who can solve my problem. And then once I see the solution, in case you didn't get that in the analogy, well, but Sherry brings all this extra stuff to the table, and she might be able to do this and that I didn't initially account for. I'm willing to pay more for that. Okay, this is what happens. Now what you've done is you've moved my benchmark from here to here. Now it's not a fixed salary anymore. The salary moves with it. Cause and effect, right? So this is how you need to think. When you go into interviews and they tell you, we pay this, when Rohan went into the interview and she said, we pay 125, they didn't see him yet. He changed the way they think about the value of that position or who could do it, right? In that example I gave you. It's the same kind of thing for you, Sherry. And yes, there may be a fixed salary, but I would slug it out first before I settled for that. It may be okay with you. But for all of you, when I laugh every time you tell me, no, the employer's not going to talk to me unless I accept the salary that they offer up in the first call. That's ridiculous. So think about that. I wish you a lot of luck. The easy answer to your question was yes, it's okay to negotiate. The Andy answer to your question was all that other stuff I said. All right, go get them. Dre, how do, and David Mills. Look at that. We got one coast and the other. Taylor Hooks, you just found my channel. Appreciate your insights. I have a job offer where the company is stretched well beyond their budgeted amount for this role for me. What non-dollars would you suggest? Well, the first thing that I would do is I would make sure that they've actually paid everything that they feel comfortable paying. So I wouldn't just automatically go to non-dollars. They may say we're well beyond. Here again, did you move that fixed point way above because the value you're going to provide warranted that they go way above? Now, I don't want you to wring out every last nickel. Why? The higher up you go in comp, what goes down once you go up? This goes up, comp goes up, my patience level goes down. Okay, the more I pay, the shorter my fuse is on my patience on you better be getting that done, and I better not need to spend a whole lot of time educating you on this and that, because if I want to pay extra because you said and showed me you were ready-made kind of thing. So if I pay more, I want to get more. So just make sure you don't have to go all the way to the ceiling, all right? That's the first thing. Now, what non-dollars would I suggest? I have no idea. Why don't I have any idea? Because I don't know what their pay structure is. So the feedback for you is you, in your negotiation, need to figure out. That Rohan example I gave you where he got the 170, the thing that was awesome about that was they had like 5, 6 things. He had options, he had vacation, he had bonuses, and other things. So we were able to use all of those to drive up what the compensation was. So for you, you need to know, well, what else is in the package? So there's vacation. Is the vacation a number? Is it 3 weeks, 4 weeks, unlimited? Do they have a 401k plan? Do they have a match? What's the vestment like? Do they have a profit sharing plan and trust? Do they have phantom stocks? Do they have incentive stock options, restricted stock units? There are all of these other things that can go into the benefit premiums. Sometimes you can negotiate additional money that can be used to supplement or stipend you through that. Okay, it's $1,000 a month for my family plan. We'll give you an extra $500 towards that on your expenses, kind of thing. I don't know if they have an HSA match. I don't know if they even have an HSA plan. Like, you need to look at all the things, signing bonuses, right? So if they've stretched well beyond their budget, well, a signing bonus often comes out of a different budget, comes out of a recruitment budget, and not a salary budget for a lot of companies. Maybe there's a minimum guaranteed back-end bonus. So we've had boot campers that I've helped negotiate their salaries where they were near the top, and then we were able to get sign-on bonuses and guaranteed minimum bonuses at the end of the first year, because some of those bonuses are dependent on corporate performance and individual performance, but you could pre-negotiate some of that stuff. So all of that stuff's in play if it's available to be in play. So you got to know what the package looks like, and then you have to ask them, what is adjustable? Is there wiggle room, and what's wiggleable in there? So those are the kind of things that you can look at. Taylor, that's great. Lots of luck on that. Let me see. Kara's telling me Tim Bryant's got a question. Okay. So Tim Bryant, you're a boot camper, and Kara's telling me, and a leader, and the interview intervention book's en route, which means you have the ebook already. Which step should I take first? Read the book or jump into the Job Search Bootcamp program? The technically correct way to do this is to go into the program, watch Welcome Post 1, me welcoming you. Go to Welcome Post 2 that says how to get the most out of the program. I did a video and an audio for you. Go through all the welcome posts so you know where everything is. You start at module 1, which is starting. Okay, I'm not being funny. You do the starting stuff first, all the self-awareness stuff, all your requirements, I show you in nauseating detail how to get all this in order, so that by the time you get to module 4, which is interviewing, you did all the right stuff the right way. It's all packaged and practiced before you get to the interviewing process. When you get to module 4, you can read the book if you want. Now, if you join the boot camp and you're already in process in an interview, go read the book. because you got to have that for the interview. But you need to go to, if for any boot campers that are out there, if you join the boot camp and you're already in an interviewing process, go to module 1, do that. Go to module 4, do that. Skip 2 and 3 just for now because you need to crush the interviews. So module 1 and module 4. Module 1 is all the upfront stuff that you need to know how to do, how to get all your questions in order, how to investigate the employers, and all that is part of interviewing. Okay, so you got to start in the right place. Then skip to module 4, then do the interviewing stuff, then go do your interviews. Okay, but you need to do module 1 in tandem, because if you don't have module 1 under your belt, you can muck up your, well, number one, you won't interview as effectively, you won't have the right questions to ask, and you could make a bad choice. So that's what I would do. Now, if you don't have interviews lined up already, I would go through the program first. I wouldn't do anything. I would go through the program first. I wouldn't send another message out or anything. I would do nothing until I go through the first 3 modules. All right, hope that helps. Keith, I'm going to see you in like 4 hours. If that's Keith W., who I'm going to see in 4 hours. Automated interview, should I use the PPO method to answer open-ended questions? How to align a team? Tell me about a time. Yes. I'm assuming I'm going to see you in, like, you couldn't wait till, I don't know, like 5 hours from now? 4 hours from now? I have an afternoon of joyous coaching sessions with my boot campers. I love it. Yes. Well, Keith, yes. And I'm assuming that's you. And so let's talk more unless this interview is in between now and 4:15. Baby girl, got an email from an organization I applied to answering some questions. I answered the questions, but not about the role because I submitted for inventory and logistics coordinator, not sales coordinator. Should I follow up? Yes. You got to clarify. I don't know how, it was not your fault. I don't know how this happens where you're applying for something. I don't know if they have like a general screening process or what, but I would definitely follow up if I understand that correctly. All right, wait, I want to do a service announcement here. If you are not subscribed to my channel, please do so. You know I hate it when you miss any of my stuff. Every Tuesday morning at 6:30 a.m. Central, now daylight time, a new video goes out. I got a good one for you this Tuesday. Every Thursday, well, you know we're here at 11. I want you to get those alerts. I want you to make sure you set the reminders and all that good stuff. If you're liking this video or this stream, click the thumbs up button, people. And Kara, I think no one has done that thing yet that we talked about earlier, right? If you want to join us for the productivity session on Monday, the 2 ways to get in that free are be in the leadership coaching program, or be in my Job Search Bootcamp. But the product itself is being built as a bonus primarily for people in my leadership coaching program, so they have a lot of insight into being very productive. We've gone through how to develop and use high-value lists, how to plan your week and your day, how to run your day, and how to run your projects. And now we're capping off the 5 main teaching portions with how to increase your personal energy. And it's not about, it is about why I'm so, bubbly and vibrant, but it's about more than that. Your energy is not just, oh, Andy, wow, he's energetic, or he's a vibrant guy, or he's upbeat and jovial. Energy has to do with how you feel about you in my presence as well, right? So how do I make you feel about yourself? Not how do you feel about me? So how do we get you in the right mindset? How do we get you enjoying things? How do we get you everything? We're going to go through everything. How I think, what I do, my routines, my morning, my evening, my midday, everything. What I eat, how I work out, everything. So that that every minute of every day, I show up like this. How's that happen? So it's going to be a lot of fun. And then if you join us for that, then I'm going to give you a 2-week homework assignment to put it into practice. And then we're coming back on April 9th, and we're going to get you up on the camera, and we'll do a bunch of case studies. It's a lot of fun. Kara's saying Racer X, hey. Yeah, Raul, Artis, you help me with making a decision on running my own financial services practice after going through your killer bootcamp program. So RT, that's RT somewhere in the chat, he's mentioning that. He's a boot camper and a leader and an all-around awesome dude. I love it. I'm so happy for you. And as a matter of fact, you probably can see his shout outs about the programs on the pages. And then he has a question. I was in your leadership program before and was thinking of signing up again. I was wondering what you cover in the leadership program can benefit running my own practice. Okay, so to clarify, the leadership program is a subscription. You can get in. You can cancel at any time. You can enroll on a month-to-month basis. You can enroll on an annual basis, or you can enroll for life. Running your own practice. So think about the program itself is designed in different types of let's call them topics. So there's lifestyle and wellness is one major topic. Another major topic is communication and influence. Another one is building personal relationships. There's a handful of others. The sessions related to building your relationships. There's a whole session. There's a major section on leadership. So there's also sessions on selling. So the art of persuasion, we just talked about that. So anything that you need to do to market and sell your services is in there. Anything you need to do to go out and build the right relationships is in there. It's about how to build professional relationships and all that good stuff. From a communication and influence standpoint, being able to communicate with others, engage with them. We have sessions in there on building trust and listening and communicating effectively in different manners. So there's a lot in there about communication. How do two people communicate and what's present? How do you communicate when you're listening? How do you communicate to send the right messages? How to communicate if you're giving a big argument and those kind of things. So I mean, all that stuff is tailor-made for you. So and I don't know when you jumped out. And sometimes people do that, right? You got to be available to keep up with the material to get the most out of it. But there's a lot in there for running your own business, running your own practice, running different units in a organization. So I'd love to have you back, buddy. But I appreciate the question. All right. Grace, Sherry, Taylor, Marco. I was able to ace all interviews and was waiting for a job offer. The HR informed me that they will not proceed with the process since a relocation package was now approved. Okay. One of the other things in my leadership program is how to deal with unexpected change. And by the way, anybody who's interested, so somebody like Raul who's looking to get back, or Mark, or anybody else, if you go to the leadership page, you can click on one of the links. Will show you all the different topics that are in there. Now, where am I going with this? Whenever I'm faced with a decision like this, where I did not anticipate it, which I'm assuming did not anticipate because you are in the process or engaged with them in some way. The only thing I ask myself when something surprising comes up is, what can I do with this right now? So they just told you the relocation package was not approved. No problem. Is there what can you do? You can ask if there's an opportunity for you to be remote until a relocation package is approved, right? Something like that. What else could you do? If that's not for you and they say no, it's got to be somebody in such and such, the next thing that I would do is I would go and see if I know anybody who fits that job, who's in that location or is willing to move. Why would I go to that extent? That's the way I roll, right? What can I get out of this? In this case, I'm looking for a job. They won't move me. Okay, well, let me see if they'll let me work remotely. If that won't work, what good can I give them? Right? That's what I would do in that case. Mark, that's a great question. And all of you, like what's another great analogy? Andy, this recruiter contacted me about a position that I didn't want. Okay, so why not? What can you do with that? Well, you can get on the phone with the recruiter and you can explain to the recruiter who you are, what you're interested in, and what you're all about, and what you want to hear about from them. Maybe they have other recruiters in the company that search for positions like yours. What else can you do? You can give that recruiter some referrals. Why? Number one, why not just help somebody out? And number two, why not build a relationship so that that person will never forget you? So when you need help, that person's going to call you back. Right? You guys got to think multiple steps ahead. Life is chess, not checkers. Right? So that's a great question. That's how I would approach that. Oh, Aylin, thank you for that. Yes, it would be great if we all click the thumbs up under the video. It is. It is a great way to do that. And we're going to be doing some other things with YouTube, like I was alluding to earlier, to try to get more engagement and make it even more fun for you guys. And I appreciate you. I appreciate you being such a great part of the Mile Walk Academy and being in all those programs. And I'm really looking forward to supporting you for a very long time. JM, Homer Glenn. I'm way north. You're way south. Quality Boy, can I mention something here? I don't recognize your YouTube handle. I don't know if you're new to the channel, and if you are, I welcome you. And I realize that this is not necessarily a specific question, other than, why is March been dry? So March is still a good month generally to look for a job. It's not as good as January and February, because in November and December, a lot of organizations, they start to recruit to try to get the staff in for January, new projects, new budgets. I talk at length about why you need to be active around the holidays, and the seats start to get filled. Now, March rolls around and companies are doing a couple things. Either they've gotten all their hires in and they're not really moving, in which case you're only going to be able to get in if somebody leaves or they want to swap somebody out. Right? That's some companies. Other companies, they continue to build their staff out. They kind of have maybe the leadership is coming in January and February, and then, kind of the next layer of staff is coming in March. Maybe the project's going that way, right? Where they're filling in the teams. What I would tell you, any month of the year, and actually a lot of the communications I've been sending you throughout March have been about why March is burnout month, meaning you dragging, right? You set goals in January, you went out like gangbusters, or maybe you started job searching. Maybe it was January, maybe it was longer, right? And you get worn down, you get tired, you're not sure, you want to throw in the towel, or maybe you're stuck, or you're not sure what your options are, and you need to think creatively about what it is that you're going to do. So I don't know. I would never make a blanket statement like no one's hiring in March. That's just not true. People hire every day all year long, no matter what the market is like. Even in awful markets, there's still turnover. And a company who has 1,000 people that loses 10% of them still has to hire 100 people just to stay static, right? So you just never know. So the way to overcome this is through what? Consistency. Consistency trumps everything. Like organization and consistency and being productive in doing the right things the right way and doing them every day will trump talent all day long. It will. And if you are looking in the right spots, if you're doing the right research and you're sending messages that give you the possibility of getting hired, like going after the bosses and even the talent acquisition people and those kind of folks, you're going to be in a lot better shape than if you're trying to shove your resume into an applicant tracking system. So I don't know what you've been doing, but the one place I would send you to is I do have a video out there on my job search challenge. I no longer offer my 5-session job search challenge as a free workshop. but I do have a lighter version, maybe a 30-minute video where I walk you through what I would do. And I would check that out. Maybe Stacy can drop that in the chat. Okay, let me see where we are. I've got to get rolling to all those coaching sessions. Actually, I want to say one thing, because this is one of my favorite people, and she asked me about Never Split the Difference. The book is sitting right there. It's maybe, I don't know, 8 feet away from me. When it comes to applying its principles to job offer negotiations, also, where can I get that mug? Okay, number one, that is a great book. And you will find, now I have been teaching negotiation for job searching and job offers a lot longer than Chris Voss has that book published, okay? And I was tickled pink when I read the book that everything that I was teaching is the same. Think about the things that I tell you. Now, if you don't know what this book is, I highly recommend it. Okay, this guy used to be like the chief hostage negotiator for the FBI. And what would he tell you? He would say to you, assumptions are not your friend. What do I tell you? Assumptions are not your friend. They told you that the salary's fixed in the beginning. No, I'm not saying you're lying to me, but I know that in most cases, that's not the case. So at this moment, when you don't know me, I'm not going to argue with you about whether I'm willing to take that or not. And what a lot of you do is you bug out because you think, well, there's no chance. Well, you assumed that that person was accurate. I assume that that person hasn't met me yet because I know that to be the case. Then what? You go in. What do I say when you get to the negotiation? What would he say? Ask questions. Don't assume you know. If you go in for the ask and you ask for $50,000 when they were willing to give you $70,000, you didn't have enough information to know what they thought. When I say, hey, let them pitch you the offer so that you could catch it and then respond to it. What is that saying? You always need more information. Until you have an offer, you don't know what they think of you, right? All the same principles are going to apply in what I say in what he tells you to do. Now, I'm not going to tell you to use the DJ voice and all that other stuff. I want you to just be you. But you're going to see a lot of parallels in what I preach and what I have been preaching for decades in that book. It's good. It's a fun book. So I love it, and you can probably get this because you're so awesome. You know what? Why don't I just send you one? It's my gift to you. Okay, so you don't need to worry about getting that. You just give me your address. You need to respond to my email that I think we sent you the other day, and I will just send you the damn mug. Meaning I will send you your own mug. That's that mug, because you are that awesome. And I'm glad I can end with a gift. All right, Aylin, my little Canadian friend, thank you. All right, all y'all. Monday, productivity class. Come on, man. Make sure to check out my emails on Sunday. I got a lesson on energy. We got a whole lot more on Monday. Tuesday, I got a great video coming out for you. Thursday, I'm back here. It's going to be a great month. If you're interested in the boot camp, it's not going to be on sale for a long while. So if you're interested and you want a little discount, you got to email support@milewalk.com. Say, hey, I was on the session today. Andy said if I was interested, I could email you, Kara, and you'd give me $100 off the base package. So I hope that helps, and I hope to see a lot of you around the YouTube channel and live office hours next week. Guys, have a great weekend. See you soon.